Welcome to Path to the Playoffs. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith. This is where we tell you all of the things that have implications for the Buccaneers' path to the playoffs, their games, other people's games, all the factors that come into it. And we knew this Vikings game going in was a really big one. So now that the Buccaneers have come out with a win, what does that mean big picture?
Yeah, even before this game, we never shied away from how important it was, even though there were 4 games left and the Buccaneers could help themselves quite a bit by winning any and all of them. This was the biggest one. And we were thinking about that going in terms of what it would look like if the Buccaneers happened to lose. And if that had happened with Arizona also winning, the Bucs would right now be in the 8th seed and just a little bit out of the playoffs. But now, after the win, we're looking at how much it helped the Buccaneers. And the best way to put this is going into that weekend, the Buccaneers knew they could clinch a playoff spot without any doubt if they won all 4 of their remaining games. Now we know that the Buccaneers will clinch a playoff spot if they win 2 of the remaining 3. So there is a little bit more cushion there. And basically what it comes down to is that Washington or the Giants or somebody will win the NFC East with fewer than 10 wins. But otherwise, there are only 6 other teams, including the Buccaneers, that can even get to 10 wins. So it's easy to put it that way. 2 wins in the last 3 games gets the Bucs to 10-6, and they can't be out of the playoffs if that happens because only 6 other teams can get to 10 wins.
Yeah, and it's always such a nice position to be in where you feel the whole control your destiny idea, and that is how it feels for the Buccaneers right now, which is really nice. But what are some of the other teams, games, things that Bucs fans should keep an eye on to see not only the chances of the Bucs making the playoffs, but who they could potentially be facing?
You know, the funny thing is this week, Minnesota and Chicago play each other, and it would be better for the Buccaneers if they didn't, because we would have a better chance of actually clinching a playoff spot this week if both of those teams can lose. You can root for a tie because that would give the Buccaneers an avenue to clinching a playoff spot, but, I mean, those 2 teams have played each other 118 times and have tied twice and not once since the 1960s. So I don't think we're going to get a tie, unfortunately. But the good news is that one of those 2 teams will be pretty much out of the picture. So what the Buccaneers would like and what Bucs fans should be rooting for is for Minnesota to beat Chicago, because if you want to end up in a tiebreaker with either of those teams at the end, it's Minnesota, because we hold the head-to-head over them, but Chicago holds the head-to-head over us. So it's pretty simple. Minnesota and Chicago, that's the only game this weekend that pits 2 teams that are in the NFC playoff hunt against each other. Otherwise, it's a lot of teams like the Rams playing the Jets and so on. So you probably want to root for the Rams so that they stay in first place in that division, because we don't want a tiebreaker situation with them either. The Buccaneers' most likely occurrence is still that they'll remain in the 6th seed, but they got a shot at that 5th seed, and they'd have to overtake either Seattle or the Rams, and they're 1 game behind that, though. So root for the Buccaneers to win all their games, root against Seattle, and probably root against the Bears this weekend.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Path to the Playoffs. We are getting there, the final games, and the path is looking pretty good thanks to that win over the Vikings. We'll see you next week.